Hi, you guys, and welcome to my channel, Life Lessons Learned. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard the saying, to be foretold is to be forewarned. Unfortunately, many people don't look at the signs, don't read the signs, don't hear the signs. Luckily for me, since I talk about all of the lessons that I've learned in life and how I apply those lessons moving forward. So trust me, when there are signs to see, things to hear, I'm pretty much aware of things. Now, at this point in time of my life, I worked at a major insurance company in the United States. Auto insurance, I should say, but they did auto, home, life, all of that. It's an insurance company. And I had been working there for quite a few years. But as things go on and they make many, many changes, and you're beginning to see how differently everything is going to be. I was picking up on all of that. Now, just to be fair, I'm going to kind of give you an idea of how that work environment was because trust me, like I said, I was checking out everything and being aware of what was going on. Not like my colleagues who were in la la land, everything's fine. That'll never happen to us. Okay. So we were customer service representatives at, in our department. And so people would call to say, the house had been on fire, the car was stolen, they were in an accident. Every once in a while, we would get the life ones where, a kid had drowned in a swimming pool or something like that. But for the most part, it was just auto insurance that we were taking calls for. So that was pretty cool. And it was a busy, busy place. Again, it was the top insurance company in the US. So, and they also did like travel, Disneyland cards, perks, they did a lot of things. So it was very busy, which was good. And the department that I worked in, there were nine of us plus a supervisor. So there were 10 employees in this particular department, customer service. And we all got along really well. Everything was fine. And um, well, let me say this: we had a supervisor that, like many of them, this was years ago, but now it's like that again now, where no matter what you did, you wouldn't get fired. No matter how late you were every single day, nothing would happen. No matter if you came back late from breaks or lunches, everything was cool, because it was a small department. Everyone knew everyone, and the supervisor was like, "I'm just a supervisor. I'm not enforcing any rules here." So, and that did not affect me because I never let what other employees are doing or not doing or their lack of service and skills impact mine. So I'm not the type of worker that would say, well, no one else is doing it, so I'm not going to do it. If it's a part of my job and I can give the type of customer service that I like to give to show the customers that we do care for them, and they're our bread and butter, then that's the kind of level I'm going to always have. It didn't matter to me how many people didn't adhere to that because I guess you could say it wasn't my business, but I said that to a friend of mine, and she said, "Well, actually, it is your business because then you're having to pick up the slack from all of these slackers. So that's not good either." But again, I was like, they're doing their thing, and I'm going to do mine. And I'm not going to negate the service that I give. So another thing is, we were customer service, so we were on the phones a lot, and my colleagues, a lot of them would make long distance calls to family members in different states and talk to their sons or daughters that were going away to, college and on the company's time, on the company's dime. Now, again, that's not my issue because I'm thinking the company gets telephone records. They can see who's calling who, when they're calling them, how often they're calling them, and what the company is being charged for these things. I mean, again, just have to remind you guys, this is before cell phones and email and all of that. So if people thought they could get away with making long distance phone calls at work and everyone's doing it and this is a major company, and you have to realize we would get calls from all over. So I'm sure people thought no big deal until it is. So Again, I didn't let any of that impact me or, how I would, the perspective that I had on my job. Well, because we were the ones doing the auto costs, the cost for the automobiles, we will also do the rental, so if, someone's vehicle was totaled out, then we would arrange for them to have a rental vehicle for the duration of their time is in the shop or until, their vehicle could be deemed a total loss. At one point, and this is after we had all worked there for years, so keep this in mind because maybe that's why some people were had their heads in the sand. I don't know. But at some point, we were told that a major rental company would be coming to the organization and that we, meaning the rental department that we were, would train them on how to do rentals. First clue to me. They're not going to have two different places doing rentals. They're not going to pay us to do them and pay this other company. That's my first thought. I'm like, that wouldn't make sense from a business standpoint. So I happened to mention it to a few people. I was like, you guys do know we're training our replacements. And they were like, girl, no, no, we're not. They just want additional rental availables. People are always having accidents. And I mean, there's an accident every so many seconds and blah da 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 da. So I'm like, you guys don't get it though. We're training them and they are already a rental agency. So we're training them on how this company does everything. And in order for them to need to know that protocol, they're going to be the ones doing it. No, you're just overreacting. Okay. So I'm like, I'm gonna overreact, all right, and get my resume together. Jeez. So that other company came in and we began training them and showing them the ropes and doing all of that. And the benefit for the company that I worked for at the time was that the company that was coming in, although they were learning our protocol and our systems and everything, the rental employees would still be under the umbrella of that company. So our company wouldn't be paying for it for people they had in our department because that company was taking care of that. So again, I tried to tell my colleagues, I was like, this company is not going to have a rental department because that company will be taking care of it. And they'll also be taking care of the expenses that it, costs to run that. But I do know that, and you'll, if you get any of my books online, you'll see in one of them, I have a thing that says, if you're telling someone something and three times they say, yeah, but, yeah, but, that means they're not willing to get off their butts and do anything, and they're just going to let whatever happens until it happens, which is fine. But that wasn't going to be the case for me. So when I tell you guys the story, you're going to say this is just unbelievable the deniability these people had up to the very last second. So um, the company that I worked for, we were in Lansing, Michigan, but the headquarters was in Dearborn, Michigan. So it was about an hour and 10 minutes away, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So one day our supervisor came in and she had said that there was going to be a meeting for all of us, but the meeting would be in Dearborn. Another flag for me, because why else would you be going to headquarters unless they're giving you your severance package? But I didn't say anything this time. I'm like, oh, okay. So we all, the other people were all excited. Oh, we get to go to Dearborn and visit headquarters. I'm like, you're going to visit it, all right. But the company had paid for a van to come and get all of us during our shift. So that way, we're getting paid for the day. We're not using our own travel. We're not getting there late. Everybody's in, it's 10 of us. So they had a van come and pick us up. And again, my colleagues, this is really nice. We don't have to drive. Hello. I don't get it. So, while we're all in the van together, they're like, I wonder what this is going to be about. Maybe they're giving us bonuses. Maybe we're going to get raises and they want to tell us in person. Okay, they got something to tell you in person, all right. And I mean, I'm laughing at this whole thing because again, how do you not see the writing on the wall? And you're grown. So we get to the area in Dearborn, Michigan, go to headquarters, and we because we're working where we work at, we also know people in this location as well. So a lot of us were, if nothing else, by phone. We talk to each other by phone to settle claims and cases and things like that. So we were kind of saying hi to some of the people that we were familiar with. And then they had us all sit in a room and they were calling us out one by one, which, if that's not a clue, I don't know what else is. So I said, okay, this is it, you guys. We're about to get the hammer. No, no, Sherry. They're calling us one by one because when they give us our bonuses, we're not supposed to know what each other are making. So, they have to do it individually. Now, truth be told, what if they were right and that was the case? Then I would have been the one with egg on my face. But I was like, there are too many other signs. We're training our new people. Hello. So I noticed that people that were getting called out individually, when they came back to get someone else, that person wasn't coming back in the room. Another red flag. I'm like, okay, they don't want us to know. They don't want that person to tell us what's going on or anything. And I get that. I mean, that makes sense. The company wants to be responsible for going over everything with you, make sure you don't get misinformation. Um, and, you're not panicking and, you're meeting and sitting with the right people. So, everyone is getting called. And then finally they called my supervisor. So I'm like, okay, maybe I am wrong because wouldn't she be the last one to go? Why would they leave me in here? Uh, So, but if you know anything about my life, that's the way it goes. Nothing that should be normal ever happens normally with me. It's always some odd outside of the realm of the universe principles that goes on with me. So, I'm in the room by myself. About 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by, and I'm still in this room and no one else has come back in. So I'm like, okay, what the hell? So I guess this is what they tell me occurred unbeknownst to me. So the supervisor, once they were done with her, she went to go join the others in the van, and before they could, drive off, someone said, "Well, where's Sherry? She's not here." So the supervisor went back to HR, and she was like, "We still have an employee in there that hasn't been caught." So they called me in there, and that's exactly what it was. They went over the um, information that that new company would now be the rental department and the automobile claims department, and that our positions were no longer going to be fulfilled. And of course, this was a company's decision for, it's just a business decision to save funds, and they had a very generous severance package for us. So, I was fine with that. Like I said, I knew that was coming. So then, when I was done and I was the last one to get to the van, now everyone wants to look at me like I'm to blame for this, just because I knew and suspected it and read the writing on the wall. They're like, "Well, how did you know? Did someone say anything to you?" I was like, "No, you guys, I tell you who said something to me when we start training those new employees." So, and it was not a good ride back home because I mean, out of 9 people, well, 10, really, all of us when you count the supervisor, there was only one male in the whole group. And I get it. It's customer service. Usually nothing. It was just customer service, and we had more females than men. And this guy started crying, and he said, "I don't know what else I'm going to do." He said, "This is all I've done for the last, 40 years." And he was close to retirement. And so I said, "Well, maybe have you thought about early retirement?" And he said, "I can't afford to retire. And the only thing I know how to do is chop wood." And I'm like, "Chop wood? What the hell?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then, of course, 2 or 3 of the ladies started crying because he was crying, and they were like, one lady, I'm divorced and I have 2 kids, and I don't know what I'm going to do." And I'm like, perhaps the some of you guys that actually did your work and weren't making long distance phone calls and costing the company money, you wouldn't be in this position. But that's just a way of saying, "I told you so." Because really, the company had to have been making plans for that kind of a move for quite some time. It's not like they went to bed one night and got up the next day and said, "We're going to get rid of an entire department." I'm sure they looked at statistics and the analytics of the whole thing and went into negotiations with the other company that we would be training and all of that. So it was what it was, and that was that. And then, of course, when we got back to our location in Lansing, we had to clean out our desk and, you know, box everything up and get out of there. And then as we were leaving, and I know this sounds really weird, you guys, but when I work at a place, you guys are going to think very badly of me here. But when I work at a place, I don't take a lot of stuff with me. You won't see pictures of my girls on my desk. You won't see me and any lovers. You won't see knickknacks that I bought over the years or cards or anything like that. I'm like, easy come, easy go. And it could be 10, 15, 20 years that I'm at a place. I'm like, I don't do that. People would come to my desk talking about, don't you have kids? Yeah. But do you need to know that? No. So, my desk was never cluttered or, a bunch of stuff in drawers or anything like that. I had a very small box of, walked in and got a couple of things that I had, and that was it. Now, the interesting thing is, as I was leaving, all of us were leaving, but the supervisor was like behind me and she asked me, she said, did they do something differently with you? Why were you the last one in the room? And I said, honestly, I think it's like you said, they forgot. They left my name off the list or something. I don't know. And then she said, you know what, Sherry? I thought that they were just going to get rid of the department and with me being the supervisor, they would place me somewhere else. She said, I can't believe they got rid of me too. And I said, yeah, I hear you. But I mean, if they're looking to downsize and that entire department is gone, and they already have supervisors in the other departments that they need, there would be no need to you know, we put you in another place. I mean, if you're thinking about it from a business standpoint, so I'm not saying I'm cold-hearted and these businesses are all doing what they do and corporate greed has no place in that. No, I know that some of that does come into play, but my thing is they were getting rid of the entire department. So, and I know sometimes they do place supervisors in other positions and everything, but that location that we were at, that was all that it was a customer service thing. And if they were going to place her somewhere, she would have to drive back and forth to Dearborn, which some people don't mind doing. But they probably just thought, no, we'll just can the whole thing, give them their services and let them go. So as you guys know by now, my mantra is knowledge is in the knowing, but wisdom is in the doing. That being said, I had already updated my resume and I had already had some feelers out because I didn't know how soon this whole thing would play out. But I was going to rough it out through the end, like I did, and get my severance and all of that, but still be prepared to not be so devastated at the loss of a job. Because you have to remember, I too was a single parent through divorce with three young girls, and I was like, okay, what is my next move going to be as well? And to make matters worse for me, a week before this happened, because remember, I'm thinking it's going to happen, but I don't know when. And I had already had my home up for sale for a few months, and I had just sold it a week before and was getting into an apartment complex. And because my girls had all graduated high school, I no longer needed a big two-story home with three bedrooms, two bathrooms, a kitchen nook, breakfast nook, a big, huge dining area, front room, a fireplace. I did. It's like, uh, I already told you guys I don't like to shop, and I don't mind a cleaning, but if it's a two-story home and it's just me, I'm like, sell this doggone thing. So I had did that, and I was in the process of getting into that apartment complex, and then we got the word that we would be, they say laid off, but you're really let go. Okay, laid off to me means you'll be back at some point, but okay, same, same. So that apartment manager had called my supervisor after we'd gotten back from Dearborn, Michigan. And that doggone supervisor told her, oh, I don't know. I can't confirm her income because we all just got let go. Way to go. All she had to do was say, yes, this is what she makes. Okay. So I got a little flack from that. That apartment complex then told me that since I had sold my home and I had sold it at a profit, so I did have some, additional funds, so that was good. But this apartment complex had the audacity, the nerve to tell me that since I had just gotten let go, I could still get into the apartment, but I would have to pay a year up front. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm not the one to say that to, okay? I will do my research. I will make sure that you know who you're dealing with. And so I asked her, had anyone else in that whole entire complex ever been asked to pay a year up front for the place? And she said, well, no. It's okay, so I won't be either. And if you think I will, then you need to go ahead and speak with your lawyer because I'll certainly be speaking with one. So, needless to say, that didn't happen. I paid the regular deposit, the first month's rent of first and last or something like that. And that was it. It's like you're not taking all the money I got from my sale of my home, and I'm unemployed right now, so I'm going to need my funds to stretch as well. And I'm not going for the okey doke that you just found out something after the fact when I've signed everything. And now you want to try to change things up. But part of that, me telling that part of the story is to let people know that it is up to us to determine, what we'll go for and what's acceptable. And that's, I mean, well, as you can see, that wasn't going to go with me. So again, this is life lessons learned, and the proof of the learning of a lesson is the application of it. So, of course, moving forward, I always kept my eye out at all the places that I worked at. And in my in my next video, I'm going to actually share a story with you where um, I was supposed to have been let go the day before, but the manager never told me. So I showed up at work, and the CEO comes in, and I said good morning, and you could have swore he saw a ghost, and I was like that was a strange reaction. He was like, oh yeah, hi, good morning, and I this one was a sudden one. So it wasn't something that we had the winds of it's going to happen or anything like that. It was really an unexpected one. So, sometimes, you know, people get to work and the doors are locked, the chains are on there, and, your access card no longer works. But I'm going to talk about that one too, because that one did blindside me. And there's not a lot that we can do about every circumstance that occurs in our lives, but we do need to be wary and be aware of the red flags when we do see them and begin to make preparations accordingly. Okay, so that's the story about that particular job and firing or laid off or however you want to call it. Please like, share, and subscribe so that you can get my videos as I drop them. I do them on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And leave a comment. I mean, what would you have done in that situation? Would you be one of the ones that would have noticed the red flag of what was going on? Or would you have been one of the ones still denying it to the very second and crying in the van on the way back? Okay, you guys. Thanks.